1. Last year on a Saturday night, shortly after 1 a.m., I heard someone creep up my staircase. I live in a 2-story home on the 2nd floor. I heard the cracking of the wood steps. I paused my TV show. I listen. I hear it some more. Then I hear a long pause. Nothing. Then I hear my doorknob jiggling. I freak out. I know it's not the woman downstairs because she's gone for the night. I went straight to the door. I have one of those doors where it's half a glass window. Because I live in a tiny town and my upstairs staircase is covered, so technically no one can see inside unless they are standing right in the door. And even at that, all I can see is part of my doorway into the bedroom. And my hallway. Nothing more. So I had the light on at that door inside. The outside light was off. So when I went to the door, I couldn't see out of it. I couldn't see who was there. When I showed myself at the door, obviously the doorknob stopped jiggling, because I made my presence known and they could obviously fully see me because the lights were on. I shut the inside lights off real quick as an attempt to see who was out there. But it took my eyes too long to adjust. As I shut the lights off, I simultaneously hit the second lock on my door, and that's when the person on the other side of the door started banging on it. I couldn't see who it was, and quite honestly, once the banging started, I bolted. And so did they. So I tried to look out my windows to catch a glimpse of who it could be, but I couldn't see anything. The exit of the staircase is too close to the house for me to have a full view from the 2nd floor, which is a shame. So I called the cops and I filed a report, and all was good in the world. I equipped my home with wasp spray hidden in every corner. I did develop major anxiety over it, though. Like, major anxiety. I had never been afraid to live alone before this, but I have worked through it for the most part and have gotten better since this was last year. I even got a camera that I have at my door that streams to an app on my phone. In the last couple of months, I've been having issues, though. I park in the little lot across the street. The little lot belongs to the church I live next to. However, I'm not allowed to park there. I keep finding the sides of my license plates completely bent outwards at a 90-degree angle every morning. I know because I put them back in place every day so the plates are flat, and you can't drive around with your plates like that. And pretty much every day of the week I go outside to find my plates bent back. I know it's not the wind, and I know it doesn't happen while I'm driving because I check. My dad, however, has convinced me that it could be the car wash. I get my car washed at least once a week or two, and it's the kind where you pay the machine and sit in your car, so I pushed it off. But then recently I came home to find 3 things on a little shelf I keep outside of my door. 2 small crystal bowls and a little flower pot with a golden retriever on it. At first I thought, oh, my sister or grandma probably just left it for me. I texted them about it, and they both said no, they didn't leave anything. They both live on my block, so I thought it would be probable for them to just do that. But both of them said it wasn't them. Then my next thought would be that it's my mom. See, anytime my mom gets me stuff, she leaves it on her front sunroom, which she calls her porch. So she will always text me a pic of what she got me and say, "It's here on the porch, get it when you stop by next." In the year and a half I have lived in this apartment, she has never left something on my porch. Also, my camera was dead. So I texted her about it and she didn't answer, which is like her. If it doesn't pertain to her, she doesn't answer. Also, I'm slightly confused about the golden retriever planter because everyone knows I'm a cat person, and that's what everyone knows to get me. Tonight, at 1:19 a.m., I was in my bedroom texting my sister when I heard banging on my door again. The lady who lives downstairs is gone for the night again. This exact same thing happened a year ago, too. Saturday night after 1 a.m. All the lights in my apartment were on, so they knew I was home. If they wanted to break in, they could have. If they wanted my valuables, they have 60 hours out of the week every week this last year to do so. No, whoever is messing with me just wants to mess with me. I didn't know what to do. My phone was on the other side of my apartment, so I couldn't go get it without going past the door. So I told my sister through text messaging on my laptop, and she called the cops for me. They arrived and I knew because I saw them searching the property with their flashlights, and I met them at the door. I filed a report and I noped out of there, and now I'm sleeping at my sister's house for the night. But this is seriously freaking me out. Someone is messing with me in a very serious way. They know I'm home. They know I'm up. They know the woman who lives downstairs is gone. They know the camera isn't charged. Coincidentally, these things keep happening when my camera isn't charged, which takes hours to do. And I'm so paranoid of leaving something charging while I'm asleep or not home. I don't have any enemies in this area. I don't really know anyone in this town except for a coworker or two, my landlord, and my family, who are new to the area as well. I don't have any ex-boyfriends trying to scare me. I haven't fought with anyone who is trying to get revenge on me. But I should mention that about 9 or 10 years ago I did have a bit of a stalker situation. A 55-year-old man who lived adjacent to my job. He came in every day for a year. We never spoke directly or had a convo. He would leave me notes in my car. The first one he left me was a 5-page letter speaking about our compatibility with one another. He mentioned things in the letter I would speak about with other customers in regards to our compatibility. He even mentioned that he believes he could sexually please me. Something along the lines of how I am a special person and he has what it takes. And it's a kind of special that most people don't have what it takes. He would leave me crystal antique hearts in my car. Anyways, I got a restraining order on him. He was no longer allowed to enter my job. He would occasionally stare at me through the cracks in his blinds. And that was about it. Moved out of state and nothing ever happened of it. So, that could be a possibility too. 2. This happened 24 years ago in July of 1996. I had finished my term of service for the Army. I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, and decided at midnight I would out-process and travel back to Wisconsin. All day I was so anxious to go that I had trouble sleeping. Finally, at 23:45, I got out of bed and went to sign out with the desk sergeant. Of course, knowing people wanted to sign out at midnight, he decided to do his rounds. You can't leave until you get your final sign-off with the sergeant and turn in your room key. So I waited, and finally, at 2:45, he returned. I turned in my room key, got the sign-off, and at 3:30 I was on my way. At first I was so full of adrenaline that I felt I could drive for days. Unfortunately, that adrenaline didn't last long, and by the time I was getting through Dallas, I was nodding off. I decided just past Denton that I would pull over at the next rest stop and take a quick nap until the sun came up. I could barely keep my eyes open when I came up to a stop. I pulled over and got out of my car to get some air, and throw something away, and get a look at my surroundings. There were only about 3 other cars and 2 semi-trucks there. It was a picnic stop and not a rest stop, so no restrooms. I threw my trash away and glanced at a poster of a few missing persons, but I really didn't pay any attention to it. I went back to my car, which was a basic Geo Metro, no radio, no power windows, no locks. I cracked the windows and turned on the boombox I had for some tunes, and lay down to get some sleep. I was only asleep for maybe 5 or 10 minutes when I felt my car shake just slightly. I cracked an eye open and looked and didn't see anything, so I blew it off and went back to sleep. I then heard what sounded like my door handle being pulled and scratching on the door key. I then sat up quickly, but I didn't see anyone there. I looked at all the windows and didn't see anyone. So again, I shrugged it off as me being tired and laid back down and turned up the radio. Being a Texas night in July, it was hot. But I was so tired I just laid back down. A few more minutes later I heard the door handle again, and the car really shook. I sat up quickly and saw a man standing at the passenger side looking in. Even though it was hot and humid, he was wearing a red sweatshirt with the hood up, and I couldn't see his face. Being young and dumb and just out of the army, I yelled at him, "What the fuck do you want?" He just stared at me, so like an idiot I got out of the car. Mind you, I'm only 5'6", but I was pissed. He just walked off towards the picnic tables like nothing happened. All the while I'm yelling at him that if he comes back I would take him out. I decided I would just drive on from there. I got back in and went on my way. Even though I was so upset, only about 10 miles down the road I was super tired again. Luckily, about another 10 miles down the I-35, there was another picnic stop. Not sure why North Texas doesn't have rest areas, but they don't. I pulled into the second picnic stop and backed into a spot just in case I needed to leave quickly. Not sure why, but there was only one other car and no semi-trucks. I again locked the doors, cracked the windows, and turned on my boombox. I fell asleep right away, and about 30 minutes later I hear a loud thud on my driver's side window. I jumped up and looked around, and no one was there. I got out of the car, which was very stupid. But I had my macho military attitude going. No one was around. I assumed it was my nerves from the other stop. I got back into my car, locked the doors again, and closed my eyes. This time I was too amped up to fall asleep, so I laid there with my eyes closed. I felt that someone was looking at me and opened my eyes and saw this guy standing there again with a red sweatshirt, hood up. I couldn't see his eyes, but I could see he was smiling at me. I popped up quick and tried to quickly open the door and bump him. Being a cheap Geo, since the doors were locked, it didn't open. He walked backwards, still staring at me. By the time I got out, he was about 30 feet away, facing me. It was fairly dark, but as I looked him over, he looked real skinny, but he was about 6'2", maybe 6'3". But I still felt like I could take him with my military experience. He was wearing the red hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, and green tennis shoes. For some reason, I thought the shoes looked odd. I could see something shine every now and then as he stood there staring at me. I believe it was a machete. I quickly reached into my back seat and grabbed my baseball bat and started yelling at him to come get some. Not sure why I said that. He started walking towards me, and I took a few steps towards him, not really thinking. As I got about 5 feet from my car, and he was now about 15 feet from me, a yellow van pulled up real quick and parked just off to my side of the car. I finally realized what was really happening, and I saw two guys also wearing hooded sweatshirts in the van. Before they could get out, I ran back to my car. I had left my keys in the ignition. Since I had backed in, I was able to cut it hard right and peel my car out of there. I was so lucky being a manual car I didn't stall the car, because the other two guys were out of the van, and the first guy was just about at my car. I jumped back on the interstate and didn't stop until I was about 20 miles into Oklahoma. I stopped for gas and to use the restroom. In the restroom, I noticed that same flyer I barely glanced at the first picnic stop. It was basically a flyer with several missing persons on it, and warning people not to stop for long periods of time at the rest areas. It described a possible suspect as being possibly 6 foot, wearing blue jeans, green shoes, and a red hooded sweatshirt. I went completely white. Needless to say, since it was daylight, I drove the rest of the way to Wisconsin wide awake. Not sure why, but I never reported it to the number on the flyer or told anyone about it. But now I live in North Texas, and pass those two picnic stops every day on my way to work, and I think about it quite often. I wonder if they got anyone else, or if they caught them. I tried looking it up, but I don't find any stories about it on the internet. So creepy dudes in the sweatshirts in Texas in July. Let's not ever meet again. 3. For context, I'm a 5'3", 23-year-old female, and working as a programmer for an IT company in the Philippines. Now, the area where my office is comprises of 3 buildings: Building A, where my office is in, Building B, and Building C. To get to the other building, it would take you around 10 minutes to get there. This happened to me a year ago, around the end of February until March. I just got out of a bad breakup at the time, and I really intended to just focus on myself and not meet anyone yet. I just got out of work, and it's around 7 p.m. on a Friday night, and went to my usual waiting spot, which has benches and is located at the back of our building near the entrance of the underground parking, where our company's shuttle and Omar, the shuttle dispatcher, is there. Now, I'd known Omar for 2 years, and he was someone I considered a friend, and we would often chat about our lives, even the breakup with my ex then, and joke around. He is a 40-plus-year-old guy, and he gives out this big fatherly vibe, so he is really someone that I trust. That night he was there with someone new that I didn't recognize. Our convo went like this. "Oh, hi, OP. Good thing you're here. I would like you to meet someone since he told me he really wants to meet you for a long time." And then this guy stood up and shook my hand. I greeted him just to be polite, and this new guy, Ray. He was average-looking, a little shorter than my height, say about 5'1", and he instantly gave off a vibe as soon as I shook his hand. I thought that would be the end of it, but he proceeded to talk to me for a few minutes while I waited for my shuttle to arrive. Omar had purposely left me and this Ray guy alone so that we could talk and get to know each other. I'm actually puzzled at this point, because 1, I have no clue who this guy is, why would he be so eager to meet me? 2, I clearly told Omar that I'm not into meeting anyone just yet. But for the sake of being polite and nice, I talked to Ray, but we never reached any personal questions, exchanging numbers, social media accounts, or even telling him my full name. I just told him my nickname. And I left it at just that when I finally got on the shuttle. Fast forward to weekend, it's Friday again. I got off work at the same time, and surprise, surprise, Ray is there again with Omar and a security guard. They were chatting, but as soon as I came, Ray instantly greeted me, and at this point, I'm a little creeped out as I expected our encounter would only be a one-time thing. I just said hi and brushed him off and sat on the benches to wait for my shuttle again. Of course, as this guy doesn't seem to know the definition of personal space, sat beside me and talked to me again, but this time he's asking for my cell phone number. I told him off and clearly said that I'm not giving out my number to strangers, and just gave him one-word answers, just to give an impression that I wasn't interested at all. "Why won't you give me your number? I just want to be friends." And I could see in his face that he was getting frustrated every time I told him I wasn't giving it to him. This happened while Omar and the security guard were looking at us from afar, but this went on until I got on the shuttle again. As soon as I got through, I mindlessly scrolled through my timeline and saw a notification that I have a new friend request. And guess what? It's Ray! And he even messaged me with, "Please accept my friend request." I just deleted his request, because now I'm pretty shocked, since I didn't tell him my Facebook account. So how did he manage to find me? The following day was the last straw when I decided to get off at an earlier time, so that I could avoid him, but to my surprise he was there, again, waiting for me, along with Omar and the security guard. Ray immediately ran up to me and said hi, but I brushed him off, and dreaded the fact that I would have to wait with this creep again when I saw my shuttle wasn't there yet. He immediately asked me if I accepted his Facebook request, and I decided to play dumb and said I haven't been active on Facebook and I haven't seen any requests. He got disappointed and he fiddled with his phone for a bit, and then revealed his phone to show my Facebook profile and asked me if this was me. I said yes, and this time I was completely ignoring him at this point, and playing with my phone, and told him I wasn't going to accept his request because I don't know him. And then Ray grabbed my phone out of my hands angrily and said he was going to add himself using my Facebook account if I won't. I muttered, "What in the actual fuck?" and grabbed my phone from him, and with perfect timing I got on the shuttle in a hurry and told the driver to go. At this point, I could confirm that this guy could be stalking me and now knows my daily schedule and social media accounts. I reported this incident to my manager and told her how this was already happening for some time now. She was surprised I didn't report it earlier, but I blamed it on my lack of assertiveness and fear that I might be overreacting to his advances. We reported the incident to office security and told them what happened, and they couldn't do anything at first as 1, I need actual evidence about my allegations to him. 2, I only knew Ray by his first name, and they would need more information than that. I didn't bother to ask where he's from or if he's even working in our office or building, which was dumb of me, and I should have asked in the first place. My manager then decided that I should at least be accompanied by some of my office mates to confirm this situation, and the guys volunteered to accompany me every time I got off work. They accompanied me for a couple of days, and no matter what time I got out, Ray was there to harass me. I felt bad for my office mates as they had to deal with his BS as well. First instance was when he saw me with my office mates. I could see the visible anger in his eyes, and he would try to butt in our conversation, even if we were ignoring him. At one point, when I'm talking with my office mates, he let out an exasperated, "Ugh," and said, "OP, can I talk to you for a second, please?" "What do you want?" I just want to talk to you. If you don't, I'll leave. Okay. And then went back to talking with my office mates. He butted in once more and asked that I should introduce him to my office mates. When I didn't, he proceeded to introduce himself, which irked the hell out of them, as his behavior didn't seem normal at all. After that incident, my office mates and I told my manager what happened and how dangerous this guy might be. She decided that we should escalate it to HR and have them deal with it immediately. Gladly, HR responded and took the situation seriously and began to do an investigation on who Ray might be. Same day, they sent me an email that after searching through the records, turns out Ray wasn't an employee of our office, and they might need to talk to building security to find out more about this guy. HR also requested our office security to escort me and observe the situation. I honestly felt relieved, as now I'll feel safe for the time being while they search who Ray might be. He still showed up even if I got out late or earlier than usual, but never went near me when he saw I was accompanied by security. But he would just keep his distance and stare at me, smile creepily, and linger outside my shuttle until it left. HR contacted me for a meeting with them and with my manager about some news on Ray, and I was shocked by the information that they found out. Ray was not an employee of our building or office, but in fact, a temp in the security office in Building C. I then thought, okay, this creep really is putting in effort for someone who clearly is not interested. And if he's a temp, then there's a chance I won't need to see him after this. But then what HR said chilled me to the bone. He was a temp assigned to work on the security cameras, meaning he had access to all of the building cameras. It has been his way to spy on me, and the reason why he was able to be there at the exact time I got out. HR has already spoken to his supervisor and gave a warning to Ray, and of course, Ray denied the allegations, even if I had witnesses against him. The supervisor wanted to apologize to me in person, but I decided not to, as I just wanted this to be over with. After that meeting, I never saw Ray again, and I reckon he must have been kicked out after HR issued a warning against him. As for Omar, I never really see him as well, and I felt bad, but he was also part of the people who enabled Ray, and he didn't do shit when I was clearly getting harassed. I received a bit of backlash from the security guards in the building for a while as well, hearing them say that I was overreacting, and I should have accepted his advances, which was disgusting, as I heard the same thing being said by female building staff as well. Nothing strange happened for a few days, but then security guard that was with Omar at the time when Ray was harassing me added me on Facebook, but I didn't make much of it, just deleted the request. I'm still working in the same office today, and I've been so shaken up by the incident that I decided to just keep my distance from people so I could avoid this ever happening again. And to Ray, no means no, and let's not meet again. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 515. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. You know, more and more these days, stories in the news, reading things like I've just read, I find myself muttering under my breath, fucking men. And I am one. Quite happy being one, but fucking men. I usually tell myself, well, that's a minority. Of course, most men are pretty decent. That's probably true, but the ones that aren't sure are pretty vocal about it, aren't they? I mean, stealing someone's phone to add you, or there's been ones in the past where they've grabbed somebody's phone to put their phone number in. Like, that's suddenly going to make them drop their panties? I mean, that'll only work if the elastic's gone. Okay, enough grumbling from me. I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.